Hey campers, good evening. It's Alan Freeman again, guy who's going to hear and talk about S-bomb and cocktails. And tonight we're going to be making a campfire-based cocktail that I'm really excited about. We're calling this cocktail an M80 in the campfire. So we're going to get rid of our fake lantern. And the fun thing about this is we're going to play with some real fire in just a moment. The vision is we're going to be making an old-fashioned, but we're going to work with some smoke. And so we're going to get some smoke from flavor, including a nice smoky scotch, but also we're going to be smoking some rosemary to help get that glass really nice and smoky and have that campfire flavor. Now, you don't have to use rosemary. You can really use anything. You can use some wood chips from your smoker. You can use a cinnamon stick. There are a lot of options. I love the woodsy smell of rosemary. So first, let's talk about how to smoke glass. You want a good source of fire. I love the trusty blowtorch. The plumber's torch in front of it, but you can also use any kitchen blowtorch as well. For other types of cocktails, they recommend smokers, but this one, you're going to want the purifier. So what we're just going to do is make sure that you have a heat-proof plate. So I've got two metal sheet trays on top of each other, which give me both insulation and make sure that it won't catch on fire. I've got my fire extinguisher just over there, and so we are ready to actually do this. And our goal here is just to get this smoldering and then invert the glass over it. The other thing we're going to do is we're going to put just a little liquid in it, and that liquid is going to just give that smoke something to stick to. I used a can of fizzy water because that's what I had handy, but you could even use some liquor if you wanted to, but you just want to make sure that the glass has something wet for the smoke to stick to. So now the fun part, we start our blowtorch, and we're just going to get it nice and smoky. And now we invert our cup over it. You can see it's starting to fill with smoke. We make sure to turn off our torch, and my house now has that lovely piney campfire note. That is what I really miss when I want to hang out with all of you. So we're going to leave this glass here. Usually an old-fashioned is something that we would build in our glass. But for this, because we want to capture that smoke, we're going to build it in a different glass. So first we're going to put in a little bit of ice to get things started. And like I said, old-fashioned, classic old-fashioned doesn't require too many ingredients. Start off with a little whiskey. I'm using Widow Jane. It's really nice. It's bourbon. It packs a wallop. It's 90 proof, but it's not as strong as some bourbons. I'm going to use 1.5 ounces because I want to make sure that there's a little room in there for some scotch. I like a 2-ounce cocktail. So we put that in. We're going to add our bitters. I'm using some spicy bitters here. That's going to give it, again, complementing the heat from the smoke. We're going to get just a little bit of capsaicin. If you don't like that, you can use Angostura. You can use any bitters you want. But I think having that little back note of heat is going to help make that cocktail a little more magical and live up to the name of, sure, what happens when we chuck this explosive in the campfire. And then we need the sugar. So I've made some simple syrup. This time I've made simple syrup with brown sugar. So it's got a little bit of that caramel note that might be reminiscent of a toasted marshmallow, and that's what we're trying for here. So I'm just taking 2 spoonfuls. I don't want it too sweet. The bourbon is going to be sweet enough, but you want something to help carry the bitters and carry the whiskey and make it something that's clearly a cocktail rather than just a glass of whiskey. And last, you want a really smoky scotch. So this is Lagavulin, a lot of folks' favorite island malt. This is 16-year. It's a fancy scotch. I ordinarily wouldn't use it in a cocktail, but we're only using a scant 1/2 ounce, so somewhere between 1/4 ounce and 1/2 ounce. And that's going to, that's lovely peaty smoke. Again, trying to get that campfire feel. So we have that. We do our quick stir, and now it's the time to get the glass. Now, some people, when they make a smoke cocktail, they're trying to actually get the glass full of smoke. There are tools that you can do that with. Here, we're just trying to get the glass to smell like smoke and have that note. And so, as we invert it, we're not going to get a huge fancy waft, but we got a little, and it just smells amazing. So what we're going to do is we're going to take our liquor, we're going to pour it in. We are going to take a nice ice cube. If you have a good ice cube, Just plop that in. That's going to make it look a little classy. If you don't have one of these, that's okay, but they often just help with these single cocktails. And the big ice cube means that it won't water down as much. So it will stay cold, but it won't be watered down. It won't dilute your drink as much because we already did the dilution by stirring it. And then, of course, we're going to take our charred rosemary, or charred whatever you have, and leave that as a garnish so that it looks a little fancy. So now we can sit around the campfire, swap some stories, dabble in amateur pyrotechnics, and just have a great evening together. I miss you all. Can't wait to see you in person and share a drink. Until then, cheers and happy camping. That's good.